Hey, welcome back in to the next episode of Game from a Game. So today we're gonna be working on this kind of dumb idea that I had, but I thought it would be funny. So let me show you what I'm thinking. So here I have this like magical bakery, and basically what I want is for it to be really eccentric and wacky. So a lot of unnecessary tubes and pots of colorful liquids. After things are made, I want fireworks to go off, and I want a lot of particles kind of going around as things are being made. And then I'm gonna add in some of these auto farms so that everything will run on its own. And then I want to start messing around with these copper golems. So I leveled out this area and I put this big circle here. This is gonna be the main building. Off on the side there, because I need gunpowder, that's where the creeper farm is gonna be. I'm gonna build that up a little high and make it look like a silo attached or something like that. On top of the actual building, I want to put like a villager observatory. So there's going to be a villager farmer in there, and he's going to be farming wheat or maybe carrots, depending. And he's going to be sourcing what we're going to be using for there. I'm going to add, I think, a chicken farm, then a pumpkin farm, sugarcane, like basically everything I could need. It's going to be here. And in terms of the game, I was thinking there could be like this wacky, eccentric mentor type character here, who lives at the base of the mountain. So we'll end up meeting her. In my head, it's a her right now. I'm still working on the ideas of what I want her to be, but I have a couple iterations in my mind, and we're gonna work on that later. So I'm gonna continue building this up, and we're gonna see how it looks. All right, so this is where we landed. Up top, I'm gonna be making the villager stuff, so that's still a work in progress. I decided to jut it out a little bit to have like a nicer entrance. Still haven't worked on that, but that'll be connected soon. Let me take you on the inside. Once again, nothing. Got some work to do here, but we gotta start. I'm gonna try to fill up a lot of these walls with auto farms. Probably just for looks, mostly. I'm gonna go underground somewhere and make like more efficient farms. Alright, so we have the farm going. One side's going to be wheat over here, and over here is going to be carrots. So the theory behind this is that there's going to be a starving villager in here, and there's going to be a farmer villager here. And while the farmer gets enough carrots for himself, he'll start throwing carrots over to help his buddy, and that'll get picked up by this hopper here, which will get pulled down into the actual building. So I know of a village nearby, and I need one of those guys to help out. I found my own in the Nether not too long ago. So right now, it's over here growing, or I guess rehydrating. And once he's rehydrated, I got this nice pink harness for him in honor of the pink sheep. And we'll be able to go snag some villagers. We're gonna need 4 just to start out. I could make a villager breeder somewhere, but for now we're just gonna grab enough to fill that up. And then that's gonna be encased in glass, and that'll be top part done. For their little holding area, I made these nice little stalls, I suppose you can call them. Let's take a look from far away here. All right, we're getting somewhere. Still have to work on that, but that's going to be a dome on top, and that's like the observatory part that I was kind of envisioning. I thought it'd be cool to get a full time lapse of the gas, but that didn't work. So here's the baby gas fully rehydrated, and then here's me on the fully grown gas looking for the village. So after landing in the village, I took the time to go into the villager breeder under the ground and start grabbing the villagers. So to do that, I had to put them in boats, and then you can lead the boat and fly away. So here we are back at the base. I wanted to give a little flyover of all the buildings popping up from all the people on the realm, and just to give it an aerial view of what I've been working on. Alright. So after making that trip one more time, I got the other villagers and both sides are now filled. And here you can see the boys are in action. The wheat villager, he'll be given bread, and the carrot villager, carrots. After making sure everything worked fine, I encased the villagers in this glass dome here. And on the top, I went with a moss top because I wanted to make it a naturey area. I'm gonna have a big tree coming out of there, and I think it'll help build up the character as a more eccentric individual. After chopping away at a lot of trees and a lot of trial and error, I came up with this final design here. Nice looking tree, if I had to say so. And here we are. I think this is the final run through I'm gonna do right now. I started working on the silo on the side there. That's where the mob farm is going to be. I'm going to mainly gear it toward creepers. It's not going to be the most efficient thing, so let me give you the inside. It's just going to be a bunch of platforms like this, and it's going to go down a little more ways, but I'm planning on putting like a cat right here because creepers are afraid of cats and they'll run into the side. Because they think these trap doors are actually walkable, they'll just fall right down the side, and we'll have a collection thing right at the bottom. I've decided to call it the wolf's den because from the side, if we look over here, it kind of does look like a wolf. See what I'm saying? So this is the wolf's den as of now, which might play into the character, we'll see. And I've worked on a little bit in here, just a couple farms just to get me started. So on this side, the auto sugarcane farm we can use for paper, for the fireworks, and also sugar if we need. Oh, the copper golem stole them already. And on this side, this is temporary, but this is where the carrots come down and they go into this composter here and get made into bone meal. Just a little source for now. Oh, dude, there he is. He's stuck. But this is the auto bamboo farm. So again, as they grow, the observer here will see it and push the bamboo into the hopper there, where it'll get collected on this side. This dude, come on. Can you get out? Alright. Oh, cool. Alright. So that's that. As you can see, it's been working fine so far. So these are my first 2 auto farms. The plan as of right now is to go down. I'm gonna leave some space up here for some wiring, but we're gonna continue working our way down. And I think I want there to be floors attached by thick chains, because that sounds sick. All right. So on the bottom floors here is gonna be some additional farms, pumpkin, cactus, whatever else I think of later. And that'll be nice. I just started digging out the area for now. And yeah, this is where we're gonna leave off in the Minecraft section. Not a lot going on, but I have a lot of ideas that I wrote down. Probably not even really related to Minecraft, but just because I thought of them as time went on. And to leave us off here, I wanted to show a short compilation of all these pillagers that are coming around and bullying me. Why they gotta do that, man? Alright, before we continue with the game, I wanted to go over some of the plans that I've come up with. So here's the map layout. So obviously we're starting here in the Dusthills Farm, and there's going to be a pathway over to Hull, and then we're going to end up in the main town here, which is going to be, all of this is going to be subdivided into more maps that we'll work on later, but this is just a general overview. So from Hull, we're going to go up to this forested area, which is at the base of the mountain where the major part of our game is going to be at. If we decide to continue the game, like past what my plans are right now, we're going to continue from Hull to the right and potentially to the south, but that's the plan for right now. So here we can see Hull and the subdivision of what I'm thinking. So this is from like the west gate is where the Dusthills Farm area is. So we're going to come in this way. And here's our marketplace central area. We're gonna have some houses and other things sprinkled off to the right. And down to the south is gonna be a graveyard, which will play a little role. And then from there, there's the north gate, which will lead us to the forested area, and then eventually the mountain. So this is what I was thinking for the forested area. So obviously here's the forest. And this might be subdivided into a few more maps too, just so there's some things to mess around with. Then we're gonna have our clearing where the eccentric person house is gonna be. And I have some plans for that. And then there's our cave entrance for the mountain. And I'm still working that out right now. And we haven't gotten there yet in the story anyway, so I have some time. But that's the general area. All right, so to finish this off, I just wanted to show you where I'm at with the story right now. So I found this online, the classic story structure, and this is what I'm following right now. All I really have at this point is my beginning, my climax, and my resolution. So I don't have any of the pieces leading up to those. So that's where the Minecraft portion is gonna come in, and that's what's gonna really help me figure out where I wanna go. But yeah, that's where I'm at in terms of the story. So all I can really do is keep building and see where we end up. Welcome back to the game. So I've made some adjustments here and I've added some new stuff. So the first adjustment I've made is I've shortened the barn. It looked way too big on the other map, the Dusthills Farm map, so I wanted to reduce that. First change, I'm sure you can see him running around up there. Let's go over to him. I made a little beetle cockroach thing, and if you step on him, I added death to the game. So I'm gonna go through all that nerd stuff in a second, but before we do that, I'm gonna show you this wash tub, and of course to get out, I still have to read the map or read the note and grab the staff. So now we're able to go out. And here's the wash tub, and of course I'll show that how I did this as well. Now we can take a little bath if we need to. And here we are in Dusthills Farm. As you can see, I'm going to zoom out here. I've added all these trees to the side just so we don't go over there, and I think it adds a little bit. I got these pebbles on the floor, and I've added this area over here for the chickens. So we'll head on over. You can see I made a little coop. We've got a water trough and some hay. This fly, we can't do anything with it yet. It's just gonna run away from us. And if I click on the chicken here, and I'll show you how to do that as well, or how I did that as well. So with that being said, that's the only things I've really done so far. So I still have a lot to work on, and we're gonna look in the map editor just for a bigger overview of the map. But I'm planning to add a little bit of like a farm, like crops. So I'm gonna add like a turnip section. I think they are gonna grow, and then I want to add their house over here in that upper right corner, and then the exit to get back to town is gonna be further to the right. I want to add it so you can sprint as well, because this is taking hella long. So I'm gonna head over to the game engine, and I'm gonna show you a couple of the things that I've worked on. So here we are in the map editor. I realized as I was walking around that I want to reduce this right side because it was taking a long time. So as I was talking about, I want to add the turnip crops right around here, and the main building where Cedric and his parents are going to live is going to be right up here. And to get out, or it's going to be right up here actually. And to get out, you're going to have to go to the right. I'll show you the map layout I have, but that'll be in a second here. So we can see over here by the barn, we have our chickens and then a bunch of trees, like we're nestled in there. So first we're going to go over some of the scripts that I wrote. So this one is for the NPC death. This is what we saw with the beetle. So first what I did is I assigned the value of self behavior to none. And if we look really quick, we can go to the behavior tab, and you can make a custom behavior for everything if you wanted to. Well, all I did for the none was I did no behavior at all. And that's because I was having an issue where when the script started running, the beetle would still move, and that would kind of mess everything up. So now it's going to be immobile and won't do anything else. So after doing that, I have it play the animation of death, and then I attach the effect Soul Rising, which we'll look at right here. Restart, and there's my soul leaving the body. Let's get a closer look at that soul real quick. So I made it in the item editor, and here we go. That's my soul. Looks a little goofy. So then after attaching that, I'm having the script wait for 2.5 seconds so that you can see the soul move up and then the animation of the death. And then I detach it because this is a emitting effect. So if I were to leave it, it would just keep emitting continuously. So I detached that, and then I removed the entity so it's off the map. So that's how that beetle death worked. Next up, we have that chicken peacock. And for this one, I had to make a custom widget. So we're going to go over to the UI editor, and over here in the widgets tab, I made a new widget, and here's the chicken. So if we take a look here, this is something new. We have all these widget tools. We can see this on the left, and all I've done is I've added an image here, and I put it in this left corner, and then a text label, and I put it there. So that's all there is for this widget, and there's a bunch of other stuff here that we can mess around with later. So I felt like when I saw the widget, it was taking it went a little quick. So I want to up this to 2 seconds. So all the script is it's going to show the widget, it's going to wait a little bit, and then it's going to hide the widget so it doesn't stay on our screen. Okay, so here's that wash tub, and really quick, I'm just gonna run down what I did. All I did was I made it a sittable, and then this is it. This is that's all that was. So it's really easy. Okay, so we're back on the farm, and I think I got the final layout all done. So first I'll take you down to the turnip farm down here. We got a lot of nice little items just scattered around, and if we actually walk up to the turnip, we can pluck it straight from the ground. So here it is in the inventory. Turnip, a bulbous root vegetable grown in cooler temperatures. And if we were to eat the turnip, we would gain 1 HP. But obviously, because we're at full health, we get 0. Another thing I did is I made this rock over here. So when we actually interact with the rock, our character here, Main, will observe it. And I want to start adding that to different items within the game so that it feels like there's more flavor text and that the game feels more alive. Like we're actually immersive, you know? So here's the armament house. I haven't done the inside yet, so we can just take a little peek like that, and that's about it. We got their chest here, and I made another new item, the turnip loaf, which is a loaf of bread infused with turnip, which beats eating a raw turnip, which is true because it'll do 5 HP of healing instead of just the 1. Probably the last change I made here is same with the cockroach. When you press on this fly, it dies. So we got this nice lamppost action right here, and this will be the way out once I make the next map. Here we got some hay, and that's all I've added here, so I think it's really coming along, and it looks a lot better than what we initially had. So I'll finish up with the armament house, and then we'll start working on the map to the right of here. Okay, some work has been done. As you can see, Main here, he's got some animations. So we have idle, we have our walk. I also have interact and speak, but I can show you that in the editor. I finished up the interior of the armament house, so let's go take a look. And here we are. So we got Cedric here. I gave him some animations also. And there's not much going on in here. I'm gonna have some quest items, I think, just to get us started soon. And that's about it. So that's the entirety of the Dusthills Farm. Basically worked out, minus like all the questing and stuff. Next up for the maps, I'm gonna work on the area 2-hole. And we're looking good. Okay, so we're back in the game editor, and before I get into the animations, I wanted your guys' opinion. So I made some clothes for Main here. I think it looks kind of bulky. So in the overworld, I wanted so Main would probably be naked like this, minus his helmet and his weapon. But in the game, you'll be able to equip all the items and still get the benefits from it. So I think that's a good in-between just because of how bulky he looked. But anyways, here's the animations I made for both Main and Cedric. So I noticed something was missing, and that's some music. So I've added this music. I made it through a different website. It's called Beatbox, but you can make it through RPGinaBox, and I'll show you both of those. And I also started working on some sounds. So there is a built-in sound effects generator in RPGinaBox. I made one thing, so I just made this. I made the door, but I want to continue working on something like the walking sounds and the chest, and maybe some ambient sounds. And there's one last thing I worked on here. Can we guess? Oh, it's a friend. I made a friend. Turnip friend. He doesn't do anything yet, but I'll continue working with him. And if anyone has any suggestions about what this little dude should do, I'd like that. I think that'd be cool. So we'll go back into the editor and we'll work through a couple more things. And then I think we're almost ready to wrap it up. So here's Beatbox. This is the website I've been using to make music. It has a bunch of things, and I'm not really going to go into it right now, but I just wanted to talk about some of my music making process. So usually I start with the small part, so we can see this guitar here. I just did this double thing, and then I kept building onto it with other little parts until it made like a sound that I thought was cool. I'm not really like very knowledgeable about music, but I just make what I think sounds cool. So I went through a little bit of my music making process, and we can get into more depth of that if there's more interest for that, but as of right now, we're just gonna go to what we can do in RPG in a box. So we're gonna go up to the sound and music tab. So here we can see that there's the sound effects generator, the built-in music, and the Bosca CO Blue. So the built-in music is just basically an asset library for music that someone else has already made, which we could use that, but I like to make my own things. And it says here that you can use it, but you have to give credit, which is all fine and dandy. And then the Bosca CO Blue is where you can make the actual music. So there's the web version and the desktop version, but I'm not gonna mess with that right now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna head into the sound effects generator. And here we can see a bunch of stuff. So this is the sound that I landed on for the walking. Not my favorite, but we can come back to this later. But basically, we can generate a bunch of stuff here. So there's like pickup coin, all that. And then if my eyes kind of glossed over looking at all of this. I don't really understand what all of this means. I went to the noise for the walking sounds and I kind of mutated it until it made something I thought sounded close-ish to walking. Everything here is very like based on vibes, so take that how you will. So I think now we're gonna look for something for the chest. So I kind of want like a creaky kind of sound. So no, this is gonna take a while, so I'll find something and come back. Okay, so this is what we landed on for the chest. It's not perfect, but it'll do. And potentially in the future, I might just go around outside and record my own stuff, because you can import your own sounds and music into the engine. So that could be something we do. Just walk around until we find cool sounds. But there's our chest open sound. So let me show you how I'm going to do that. Okay, so what we're going to do for the sound here is I have this item container, and that's what I made the chest. So we have this on open script. So I already opened that up. So in this script, all it does was play animation self open. And what we can do now, we can play sound and chest open once. Perfect. So now when the chest opens, it'll make that sound. It might be worth making a chest close sound and adding that too. So I'll do that. So to add sound to our main character for him walking, we're going to go to the model properties. We're going to go down to footstep sound, and I have the walk. So now in the game, we have the chest opening and closing, and then we also have our character walking. We have the footstep rate, which is how fast our steps are going to go, so I'll adjust that based on what I see. But let's jump in game and hear these sounds. Like, before we get into the game to listen to the sounds, I wanted to show you how I made this turnip friend animation and script. So here we have our turnip, and I made it interact only, because before, if I stood on here to test it and it made the script not work entirely, so that's very important for this. So I wrote this all as a quick script rather than making it a script, but here's what it looks like. So we locked our player movement and our interaction. Then we removed self, which is the turnip. We then added an effect, which is the sparkle, which I'll show you in a second here, and then enabled that effect because it's a one-time use. We waited a second, then we added our turnip friend to that spot. We replaced the navigation around there from interact only to walk and interact, so that the character can actually move off of the spot and we can walk onto it later. And then we unlocked our movement and interaction. So here's the effect. Just a little something, a little eye-catching. I made it over here. Let's take a look at the sparkle. Doesn't that look fantastic? We can change that later though, but I thought it would be something cool. And then let's do a little look at the turnip friend, which is of course just the turnip, but out of the ground. Cute. Here's the idol, kind of just moving around. And then here is our walk animation. Little bulbous guy moving on the move. And then I have a new behavior, the companion behavior, so that it follows us. So this is better than the sheep one I did earlier. So if we look, the only difference really is that I switched it to player interest, seek out player 15, and then I made its speed almost the same as ours, but just a little bit slower, so that you can actually see him walking around like this. Because before, I had him moving at the same speed as me, and he would just like stutter step, so you can actually see him walking around. And I thought it'd be better if a little turnip guy is slow anyways. So now we can finally get into the game and then to the conclusion. Alright, so let's test that walking sound. Way too quick, so we'll lower that, and then here's the chest. Alright, so that'll do it for today. Everything's a little scattered. Work has been a little busy, so I haven't had as much time to work on everything, and I didn't really have a set plan, so I kind of did things out of order or whatever interested me at the time. Thank you so much if you made it to the end here. Again, like, comment, and subscribe. I would love some suggestions and feedbacks for the game. If you notice anything or if you think anything would be cool, please feel free to let me know, and I'll probably try to add it. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!